As the night settles around you, dear listener, let the world grow quiet. Picture yourself on the shores of a distant land, where the waves of the Aegean Sea whisper secrets of ancient heroes, their triumphs and their sorrows. The stars above flicker like the embers of a fire, each one a story waiting to be told. Tonight, we embark on a journey through time, to an age where gods walked among mortals, where cunning outwitted strength, and where one man's longing for home became the heartbeat of an epic tale. This is the story of the Odyssey, Homer's timeless masterpiece, a saga of adventure, loss, and the unyielding pull of home. Close your eyes and let the gentle rhythm of my words carry you back to ancient Greece, where the air hums with the scent of olive groves and the distant clash of bronze. The Odyssey is more than a poem. It is a tapestry woven from the threads of human experience, courage, despair, love, and the eternal question of what it means to belong. We will wander through its history, not as scholars poring over dusty scrolls, but as travelers sharing a tale under the stars. From the Trojan War's fading echoes to Odysseus's perilous voyages, we will trace the paths of gods and mortals alike, exploring the myths that have stirred hearts for millennia. This is a story for the quiet hours, crafted to lull you into rest while igniting your imagination. Let the world fade as we step into a realm where tempests roar, sirens sing, and a lone hero battles fate itself to return to the arms of his beloved. The Odyssey has endured through centuries, its verses whispered by poets, its lessons carved into the soul of humanity. So, settle into your place of rest, let your thoughts drift like a ship on calm waters, and allow me to guide you through this ancient tale. Hello, my name is Sherry, and welcome to my channel. So let's begin. Imagine, dear listener, a land where the sun spills golden light across rugged hills, where olive trees sway in the warm breeze, and the sea stretches endlessly, a shimmering mirror of the heavens. This is the Greece of long ago, a world of scattered city-states, each a jewel cradled by mountains or nestled along the coast. It is an age of bronze and bravery, of kings who ruled from stone palaces and poets who sang of gods and heroes under starlit skies. To understand the Odyssey, we must first step into this world, the cradle of its creation, where the Mycenaean people thrived, their lives woven with myth and memory. As you rest, let the gentle rhythm of this ancient land lull you, its whispers carrying us back to a time when stories were the heartbeat of a civilization. The Greece of the Odyssey is not the polished Athens of later centuries, with its marble temples and philosophers' debates. No, this is the Mycenaean age, roughly 1200 BCE, a time of warriors and wanderers, when great palaces like Mycenae and Pylos stood as beacons of power. Their walls, built of massive stones, seemed to defy time itself, earning the name Cyclopean for their sheer scale. These were the days when men sailed in black-hulled ships, their oars slicing through waves to trade, raid, or wage war. The sea was both a highway and a peril, a vast expanse where fortunes were won or lost to the whims of wind and tide. Picture the bustling ports of Crete or the fortified citadel of Turin, where bronze-clad warriors sharpened their spears, and women wove intricate tapestries, their threads telling tales of valor. Yet this was not merely a world of swords and sails. It was a place where the divine was ever present, where every storm, harvest, or victory was a sign of the gods' favor or fury. Zeus, lord of the sky, watched from his cloudy throne. Athena, with her owl-keen eyes, guided the wise, and Poseidon, the earth-shaker, stirred the seas with his trident. The Mycenaeans honored these deities with altars heaped with offerings, their prayers rising like smoke to the heavens. To them, the line between mortal and immortal was thin, a veil easily pierced by a hero's courage or a god's caprice. This belief, woven into the Odyssey's verses, gives the tale its timeless pulse, for who among us has not felt the tug of forces beyond our control? Now let us turn to the voice behind the Odyssey. Homer, a name that echoes through the ages, yet remains shrouded in mystery. Was he a single poet, blind as the legends claim, or a chorus of bards whose songs merged into one? Scholars still debate, their voices like waves lapping at an unreachable shore. What we know is this: the Odyssey and its sister epic, the Iliad, were born from an oral tradition, passed down through generations like a sacred flame. Bards, or Aedui, wandered from court to court, their lyres humming as they spun tales of Troy's fall or Odysseus's wanderings. These were not mere entertainers, but keepers of memory, their words preserving the deeds of heroes for a people without written records. Picture a firelit hall, its stone walls draped with tapestries, where a bard's voice rises, weaving a spell over warriors and their kin, their eyes gleaming with wonder. The Odyssey itself, though set in the Mycenaean past, likely took shape centuries later, around the 8th century BCE, when Greece was emerging from a dark age. The art of writing, borrowed from the Phoenicians, was new, and the epic may have been one of the first to be etched onto scrolls. Yet its heart remained oral, its verses crafted to be sung, their rhythm as steady as a heartbeat. Each line, with its dactylic hexameter, was a thread in a vast tapestry, designed to captivate listeners as they gathered in torchlit halls or beneath the open sky. The story's power lay not in its facts, but in its truth, the way it spoke to the human soul, to our fears of loss, our hopes for return, our longing for a place called home. This Greece was a world of contrasts, beauty and brutality, order and chaos. City-states like Ithaca, Odysseus's humble kingdom, were small yet proud, their people bound by loyalty to kin and king. Honor was everything, a currency more precious than gold. A man's name, his kleos, was his immortality, earned through deeds that echoed beyond his years. For women, too, honor shaped their lives. Penelope's steadfastness, Helen's fateful beauty, each a thread in the epic's weave. As we drift through this ancient land, imagine the weight of such expectations, the courage it took to face a world where gods and monsters lurked just beyond the horizon. But why does this tale endure? Why do we, millennia later, still listen to the Odyssey's call? Perhaps it is because it speaks to something eternal within us, the journey, the struggle, the dream of home. As the Mycenaean palaces crumbled, their stories did not. They were carried forward, whispered by poets, etched into clay, and later immortalized in ink. The Odyssey is a bridge between that lost world and ours, a reminder that the human heart, with all its frailties and fire, remains unchanged. As you rest, let this thought settle over you like a soft blanket. We are all, in our way, wanderers seeking our own Ithaca. And so, we stand at the edge of this ancient world, ready to follow a hero whose name has become legend. Odysseus, the man of many turns, waits for us, his ship poised on the wine-dark sea. What trials await him? What gods will shape his path? And what truths will he uncover in the shadow of Troy's ruins? The answers lie ahead, in a tale as vast as the sea itself, calling us to sail on. As the embers of Troy's great pyre fade into the night, dear listener, let your mind drift to a city in ruins, its once-proud towers reduced to ash and memory. The Trojan War, a decade-long clash of bronze and ambition, has ended, but its echoes linger like a mournful song across the Aegean. The Odyssey begins here, in the shadow of this cataclysm, where heroes, weary from battle, turn their eyes toward home. For Odysseus, king of Ithaca, the fall of Troy is not the end, but the prelude to a journey that will test the very limits of his soul. Settle deeper into your rest, and let the waves of this ancient tale carry you to a time when victory was as bitter as defeat, and the gods still whispered in the winds. Picture the shores of Troy, the air thick with smoke and the cries of the vanquished. For 10 years, the Greeks, Achaeans, as Homer calls them, besieged this fabled city, their ships drawn up on the sandy plain, their tents a patchwork of resolve and desperation. The Iliad tells of their wrath and glory. Achilles, swift-footed and doomed, Agamemnon, proud and flawed, Helen, whose beauty sparked 1,000 sails. But the Odyssey turns its gaze to what follows, to the cost of war and the longing for peace. The Greeks, triumphant yet scarred, prepare to sail home, their ships laden with spoils but their hearts heavy with loss. Troy's walls, once unyielding, lie broken, a testament to human cunning and divine caprice. Odysseus, the mastermind of the Trojan horse, stands at the heart of this victory. It was his wit, his man of many turns, that devised the stratagem to breach Troy's gates. Picture the wooden beast, hollow and vast, its belly hiding warriors who held their breath as the Trojans, in their folly, dragged it within their walls. That night, As flames devoured the city, Odysseus emerged not as a warrior of brute strength, but as a weaver of plans, a man whose mind was sharper than any spear. Yet as the Greeks cheer their triumph, the gods watch with narrowed eyes. Victory, they know, comes at a price, and Odysseus's cunning has drawn their attention, none more so than Poseidon, whose wrath will soon churn the seas. The aftermath of Troy is a tapestry of farewells and fractured dreams. The Greek fleet scatters, each king charting his own course home. Agamemnon, lord of Mycenae, sails to a fate darker than war, betrayed in his own halls. Menelaus, Helen's husband, wanders lost, his pride bruised but his love reclaimed. For Odysseus, the journey should be simple, a voyage from Troy to Ithaca, a small island kingdom in the Ionian Sea. His ship, sturdy and swift, carries a loyal crew, their eyes fixed on the horizon. Ithaca calls to him, his rocky shores, his olive groves, his faithful Penelope and his son Telemachus left behind as a child. Yet the sea, vast and treacherous, is no mere path but a realm of trials, governed by forces beyond mortal ken. The gods, ever present in this world, shape the fates of those who sail. Poseidon, earthshaker and lord of the deep, harbors a grudge against Odysseus, though its cause remains veiled for now. Athena, goddess of wisdom, watches her favored hero with a protective gaze, yet even she cannot shield him from all that lies ahead. The interplay of divine will and human endeavor is the pulse of the Odyssey, a dance of fate and choice. As Odysseus's ship cuts through the waves, the gods murmur among themselves, their voices like distant thunder. To them, mortals are both pawns and players, their lives a game played on the board of the cosmos. Consider, too, the men who sail with Odysseus. These are not mere soldiers, but comrades forged in the crucible of war, their loyalty bound by shared hardship. They trust their king, whose cleverness saved them at Troy, yet they are weary, their bodies scarred, their minds haunted by the faces of the fallen. The sea stretches before them, a mirror of their hopes and fears, its surface calm but its depths hiding monsters and mysteries. In the quiet moments aboard their ship, as the stars wheel overhead, they share stories of home, of wives and children, of fields left unplowed. Odysseus listens, his heart torn between duty to his men and the ache for his own hearth. The Greece they seek to return to is not the one they left. 10 years is a lifetime in a world where loyalty is fragile and power shifts like sand. Ithaca, Odysseus's kingdom, is a small realm, its wealth modest compared to Mycenae or Sparta. Yet it is home, a word that carries the weight of 1,000 dreams. For Odysseus, home is not just a place but a promise, of Penelope's embrace, of Telemachus's growth into manhood, of a life reclaimed from the chaos of war. But the path to Ithaca is no straight line. The sea, with its tempests and temptations, will test every ounce of his resolve, every spark of his cunning. As we linger on this moment, imagine Odysseus standing at the prow of his ship, the wind tugging at his cloak, his eyes scanning the horizon. The war is behind him, but its shadow clings like damp mist. What lies ahead is unknown, a journey that will stretch across years, across islands and realms where gods and mortals collide. The Odyssey is not merely the tale of one man's return, but a meditation on what it means to endure, to hope, to fight for a place in the world. Each wave that laps against his ship carries a question. Can a man outwit fate? Can he defy the gods and still find his way home? And so, as the stars gleam above the wine-dark sea, Odysseus sails on, unaware of the trials that await. The gods are watching, their plans unfolding like a scroll. What will become of this hero, this man of twists and turns, whose name will echo through the ages? The answer lies in the mists ahead, where a single choice, a single moment will set his fate in motion. As the night deepens around you, dear listener, let the gentle lapping of waves against a wooden hull draw you closer to our tale. The sea stretches vast and unyielding before Odysseus, his ship a mere speck beneath the stars. Yet it is not the ship, nor the sea, nor even the gods that hold the heart of this story. It is the man himself, Odysseus, king of Ithaca, whose name rings like a bell through the ages. He is no towering giant like Achilles, no godlike prince clad in glory. He is a man of wit, of twists and turns, whose mind is his sharpest weapon and whose heart is his anchor. As you rest, let us linger with this hero, tracing the contours of his soul, for in understanding Odysseus, we glimpse the timeless struggle of humanity itself. Picture him standing at the helm, his weathered hands gripping the steering oar, his eyes keen as a hawk's despite the weariness etched into his face. Odysseus is not young, not in the way of reckless youth, but his vigor is that of a man tempered by war and wisdom. His hair, dark and curling, is streaked with the salt of the sea and the first threads of gray. His frame is sturdy, built for endurance rather than brute strength, his shoulders broad from years of wielding spear and shield. Yet it is his gaze that sets him apart, a gaze that sees beyond the horizon, that weighs each wave and wind as if they were pieces on a game board. This is Odysseus, the man of many ways, whose cunning outshone the might of armies at Troy. In the Odyssey, Homer calls him polytropos, a word that dances on the tongue, meaning of many turns or much wandering. It is a fitting epithet, for Odysseus is a man who bends rather than breaks, who weaves through danger as a thread slips through a needle's eye. At Troy, it was his mind that turned the tide. The wooden horse, a deception so bold it still stirs awe, was his creation. While others clashed in open combat, Odysseus worked in shadows, his plans unfolding like a spider's web. He was the strategist, the speaker, the one who could sway hearts with words as easily as he could wield a sword. Yet this cunning is no mere trickery. It is a spark of divine insight, a gift from Athena, goddess of wisdom, who sees in him a mortal worthy of her favor. But Odysseus is no flawless hero, no marble statue carved in perfection. He is human, deeply so, with flaws that mirror our own. His pride, sharp as a blade, often cuts both ways. At Troy, his triumphs fed his hubris, a trait that will soon draw the wrath of gods. His curiosity, insatiable as the sea, drives him to seek knowledge where others would flee. And his heart, oh, his heart, bears the weight of love and loss, for Ithaca calls to him across the waves, a beacon that never fades. Penelope, his wife, waits there, her fidelity a mirror to his own. Telemachus, his son, grows without a father, a wound Odysseus feels with every passing day. To be a hero is to carry such burdens, to walk a path where every step is a choice between duty and desire. Consider the world through Odysseus's eyes as he sails from Troy. The war has left its mark, not just in scars upon his body, but in the quiet moments when he dreams of the fallen. Patroclus, Achilles, Ajax, their names linger like ghosts, comrades whose fates were entwined with his. He is a leader, yes, but also a survivor, one who bears the guilt of those who did not return. His crew, loyal yet mortal, look to him for guidance, their trust a heavy mantle. They see in him not just a king, but a man who can outwit fate itself, who can steer them through storms and shadows. Yet Odysseus knows, in the quiet of his soul, that the gods are watching, their plans as vast and unknowable as the sea. The Greece of Odysseus's time is a world where reputation is everything. A man's Cleos, his fame, his glory, is his legacy, a song to be sung long after his bones have turned to dust. Odysseus's fame is hard-won, built not on the battlefield's blood but on the strength of his mind. He is the man who speaks when others falter, who finds paths where none seem to exist. Yet this same cunning makes him a target, for the gods are jealous of mortals who shine too brightly. Poseidon, lord of the deep, stirs in his watery halls, his grudge against Odysseus growing like a storm on the horizon. Athena, too, watches, her favor a shield but not a promise. To be favored by one god is to risk the ire of another, and Odysseus walks this delicate thread. As we linger with him, imagine the stories he carries, not just of Troy, but of Ithaca, of a life before the war. He tells his men of the olive trees that shade his palace, of the rocky paths where he hunted as a boy, of Penelope's laughter, bright as a summer dawn. These memories are his strength, his reason to endure. Yet they are also his pain, for each day on the sea is a day further from home. The Odyssey is not just a tale of monsters and magic, but of a man wrestling with his own humanity, his doubts, his hopes, his relentless will to survive. What makes Odysseus timeless is this. He is us, a wanderer seeking meaning in a world that often seems to conspire against him. The sea rolls on, its waves a rhythm as steady as a lullaby. Odysseus stands at the prow, his thoughts a tangle of past and future. He is a hero, yes, but also a husband, a father, a man who dreams of a hearth long left behind. The gods, with their immortal eyes, see his path stretching far beyond the horizon, to islands of wonder and peril. What trials await this man of many turns? What price will his cunning demand? The answers lie in the mists, where the sea meets the sky, and a single choice will spark the wrath of a god. As the night wraps you in its gentle embrace, dear listener, let the soft murmur of the sea draw you deeper into our tale. The stars above glimmer like scattered jewels, their light a faint guide for Odysseus and his crew as their ship glides across the wine-dark waves. But the sea is no mere pathway. It is a realm alive with power, ruled by a god whose heart churns with anger. Poseidon, the earth-shaker, lord of the deep, casts his shadow over Odysseus's journey, his wrath a storm waiting to break. Tonight, we delve into the divine forces that shape our hero's fate, where the will of gods and the courage of mortals collide. Rest now, and let the rhythm of this ancient story carry you to a world where the heavens and the deep are never silent. The Greece of Odysseus's time is a land where the gods are as real as the wind, their presence felt in every gust, every tide, every twist of fate. To the Mycenaeans, the world is a tapestry woven by divine hands, where mortal lives are threads pulled taut or cut at the god's whim. Zeus, king of the heavens, holds court on Mount Olympus, his lightning bolts a reminder of his dominion. Athena, with her gray eyes and owl's wisdom, guards those she favors, her mind as sharp as the spear she wields. But it is Poseidon, god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses, who looms largest in the Odyssey. His trident stirs the waves, his voice rumbles in the depths, and his anger, once roused, is as relentless as a tempest. Why does Poseidon harbor such fury toward Odysseus? The seeds of this grudge lie not in Troy's fall, but in a moment yet to come, a choice that will wound the god's pride. For now, let us say only that Odysseus, with his cunning, has dared to cross a line, to challenge the divine order in a way that even the gods cannot ignore. The Odyssey does not unfold its tale in a straight line, but weaves back and forth, like a ship tacking against the wind. We know Poseidon's wrath is coming, a force that will hurl Odysseus from one peril to another, keeping Ithaca ever out of reach. Yet the gods are not a monolith. Where Poseidon rages, Athena counters with her quiet strength, her favor a shield against the worst of his storms. Picture Odysseus's ship, its black hull slicing through the sea, its sails taut with the breath of the wind. The crew, hardened by war, row in rhythm, their eyes scanning the horizon for signs of land or danger. They know the gods are watching, their presence felt in the sudden squalls that lash the deck or the eerie calm that settles like a held breath. To sail in this world is to court the divine, to place your fate in hands that are both merciful and cruel. The Mycenaeans revered Poseidon, offering sacrifices of bulls and stallions to appease him, their altars stained with blood by the shore. Yet no offering can sway a god scorned, and Odysseus, for all his wisdom, has stirred the earthshaker's wrath. The interplay of gods and mortals is the heartbeat of the Odyssey. Unlike the Iliad, where heroes clash in open battle, this tale is a dance of wits, where divine will shapes the stage but mortal choices drive the story. Poseidon's anger is not mere caprice. It is a reminder that the gods, for all their power, are bound by their own passions. Pride, jealousy, love, these are not just human flaws but divine ones, magnified by immortality. Odysseus, with his mortal heart, must navigate this celestial storm, his every decision a thread in the tapestry of his fate. Athena, his protector, whispers counsel in his dreams, her voice a flicker of light in the darkness, but even she cannot defy Poseidon's domain outright. As the ship sails on, imagine the crew gathered at dusk, their faces lit by the glow of a small fire on the deck. They speak in hushed tones of the gods, of tales their fathers told by hearths long cold. One man recalls a storm that sank his brother's ship, blaming Poseidon's wrath for a forgotten offering. Another speaks of Athena, how her owls circled their camp before a battle, a sign of victory. Odysseus listens, his thoughts a whirl of strategy and longing. He knows the gods are not distant spectators, but players in his journey, their motives as tangled as the currents beneath his ship. To lead is to balance faith and defiance, to honor the divine while trusting in one's own will. The sea itself is a character in this tale, a vast, untamed force that mirrors Poseidon's mood. Its waves can be gentle, lulling the crew into dreams of home, or ferocious, hurling their ship toward jagged rocks. The Mycenaeans, a seafaring people, knew this duality well. Their ships, with curved prows and single masts, were marvels of craft, yet no match for a god's fury. Odysseus, as captain, must read the sea as he reads men's hearts, sensing the shift in wind or tide that might signal divine displeasure. His crew trusts him, but trust is fragile when the horizon offers no promise of land, only the endless roll of waves. Reflect, for a moment, on what it means to sail under such a sky. The Odyssey is not just a story of adventure, but a meditation on resilience, on the courage to face forces greater than oneself. Odysseus, for all his cunning, is a man at the mercy of the divine, yet he refuses to yield. His journey is a testament to the human spirit, to the spark that drives us to endure when all seems lost. As you listen, let this thought settle over you like a soft tide. We, too, sail through storms, guided by our own inner light, seeking a shore we cannot yet see. And so, the ship presses on, its timbers creaking under the weight of Poseidon's gaze. Odysseus stands at the helm, his eyes fixed on the horizon, unaware of the trial that awaits. A distant island looms, its cliffs shrouded in mist, its caves hiding a creature that will test his wits and spark the gods' full wrath. What choice will Odysseus make, and what price will it demand? The sea holds its secrets close, but the answers are coming, carried on the wind like a whisper of doom. As the night wraps you closer, dear listener, let the gentle sway of the sea cradle your thoughts, carrying you to a place where the horizon hides wonders and terrors alike. The stars above flicker like distant beacons, guiding Odysseus and his weary crew through the vast expanse of the wine-dark sea. Their ship, battered yet steadfast, cuts through waves that whisper of divine displeasure. Ahead lies an island, its cliffs rising like the shoulders of a giant against the dawn. This is the land of the Cyclopes, a race of one-eyed monsters whose savagery will test Odysseus's cunning and spark the wrath that haunts his journey. Rest now, and let the rhythm of this tale draw you into a world where courage meets the monstrous, and a single choice echoes through the ages. The sea has been unkind to Odysseus and his men, its storms a reminder of Poseidon's watchful eye. Days blend into nights, their rations dwindling, their spirits worn thin by the endless horizon. When the island appears, lush with green meadows and grazing sheep, it seems a gift from the gods, a place to rest, to replenish, to remember the taste of hope. The crew anchors their ship in a sheltered cove, the water calm as a mirror, reflecting the jagged cliffs above. Odysseus, ever the leader, feels the pull of curiosity, that spark in his soul that seeks answers where others see only danger. He selects 12 of his best men, their loyalty forged in the fires of Troy, and leads them ashore, a wineskin slung over his shoulder as an offering or a tool. The island is a strange and primal place, far from the ordered world of Ithaca or Troy. The Cyclopes, Homer tells us, are a lawless race, living in caves, tending their flocks without kings or councils. They know nothing of ships or plows, their lives unbound by the customs that bind men together. Each Cyclops is a solitary giant, his single eye a window to a soul untroubled by mercy or reason. As Odysseus and his men trek inland, the air grows heavy with the scent of earth and wool, the bleating of sheep a soft counterpoint to the crash of distant waves. They find a vast cave, its mouth yawning like a wound in the hillside, filled with cheeses, lambs, and the trappings of a shepherd's life. To the weary Greeks, it is a treasure trove, a temptation to take and flee. But Odysseus, the man of many turns, is not content to steal and run. His mind, sharp as a honed blade, yearns to know who claims this bounty. His men urge caution, their eyes darting to the cave's dark corners, but Odysseus's curiosity is a flame that will not be quenched. They light a fire, feast on the Cyclops' cheese, and wait, their laughter mingling with the crackle of flames. Then the earth trembles. A shadow fills the cave's mouth as Polyphemus, the Cyclops, returns, his single eye gleaming like a polished shield. He is a mountain of a creature, his arms thick as oaks, his voice a rumble that shakes the stones. The Greeks shrink back, their courage tested as he drives his flock inside and seals the cave with a boulder no mortal could move. What follows is a dance of survival, a clash of wit against brute strength. Polyphemus, seeing the intruders, demands their purpose, his voice a growl that echoes in the dark. Odysseus, ever the orator, speaks with honeyed words, invoking the laws of hospitality sacred to Zeus. He offers the wineskin, a gift to soothe the giant's temper. But Polyphemus scorns the gods, his laughter a thunderclap. In a moment of horror, he seizes two of Odysseus's men, dashing them against the cave floor like broken dolls, their lives snuffed out as he feasts on their flesh. The crew, frozen in terror, look to their captain, whose face betrays no fear, only the cold calculation of a mind at work. Odysseus's cunning now becomes his shield. He offers Polyphemus the wine, its sweetness a lure to dull the giant's senses. The Cyclops drinks deeply, his eye growing heavy as Odysseus spins a lie, claiming his name is nobody. As Polyphemus slumps into a drunken sleep, Odysseus and his men sharpen a massive olive stake, its tip hardened in the fire's glow. With a silent prayer to Athena, they drive the stake into the Cyclops' eye, the hiss of burning flesh mingling with his roar of agony. "Nobody blinds me," he bellows, his cries unheard by his kin, for who would aid a man attacked by nobody? The Greeks, hearts pounding, hide among the sheep, escaping as Polyphemus, blind and raging, opens the cave at dawn. Yet victory is not without cost. As Odysseus's ship sails away, his pride surges like a wave. He cannot resist a final taunt, shouting his true name to the blinded giant. "Odysseus, sacker of cities!" Polyphemus, clutching his ruined eye, calls upon his father, Poseidon, to curse the man who wronged him. The sea stirs, the sky darkens, and Odysseus feels the weight of his words, a moment of hubris that will ripple across his journey. The gods, ever watchful, take note, and Poseidon's wrath, now fully roused, promises storms that will test the hero's soul. This encounter is more than a tale of monster and man. It is a mirror held to Odysseus's heart. His cunning saves his men, but his pride invites divine retribution. The Odyssey asks us to ponder, what is the price of glory? To be a hero is to walk a knife's edge, where every triumph risks a fall. As you rest, let this thought linger like a dream. We, too, face our own giants, our own temptations to shout our names into the wind. Odysseus sails on, the island fading behind him, but the shadow of Polyphemus's curse looms large, a reminder that the sea is never silent, and the gods never forget. What lies ahead for our hero, now marked by Poseidon's fury? Another island beckons, its shores hiding a sorceress whose magic will weave a new spell over Odysseus and his men. Will his wits prevail, or will temptation claim what the Cyclops could not? The sea holds its secrets, but the tale is far from over. As the night folds softly around you, dear listener, let the whisper of waves against a distant shore guide your thoughts. The sea, vast and restless, carries Odysseus and his men away from the Cyclops' island, the echo of Polyphemus's curse still ringing in their ears. Poseidon's wrath churns beneath the surface, a promise of trials yet to come. Yet for now, the horizon offers a fleeting hope. A new island, its cliffs draped in mist, its forests alive with the hum of unseen life. Here dwells Circe, the enchantress, whose beauty is as perilous as her magic. Settle deeper into your rest, and let this tale weave its spell, drawing you into a world where desire and danger entwine, and a hero's heart faces a new kind of test. The journey from the Cyclops' cave has been a harrowing one. Odysseus's crew, shaken by the loss of their comrades, row with heavy hearts, their eyes haunted by the memory of Polyphemus's savagery. The sea, under Poseidon's watchful gaze, offers no mercy, its winds driving their ship through churning waters. When the island of Aea appears, its shores lush with oak and laurel, it seems a haven, a place to mend their spirits and fill their bellies. Odysseus, ever cautious yet driven by necessity, sends half his men, led by the loyal Eurylochus, to explore the island while he remains with the ship, his mind wrestling with the weight of leadership. The men tread carefully through the forest, the air thick with the scent of cedar and wildflowers. Wolves and lions roam the glades, but strangely, they do not attack. Instead, they fawn like tamed beasts, their eyes gleaming with an unnatural light. The men's unease grows, yet hunger and exhaustion spur them onward until they reach a palace of polished stone, its halls alive with the hum of a loom and the voice of a woman singing. This is Circe, daughter of the sun god Helios, her beauty radiant as dawn, her voice a melody that soothes and ensnares. She welcomes the men with a smile, offering them seats at her table, where golden bowls brim with wine and honeyed barley. But Circe is no mere hostess. Her kindness is a lure, her hospitality a trap woven with magic. The wine she serves is laced with a potion, and as the men drink, their laughter fades, their bodies twist. With a wave of her wand, Circe transforms them into swine, their human minds trapped in beastly forms, grunting in her pens while her laughter echoes through the halls. Eurylochus, wary and unenchanted, escapes to warn Odysseus, his voice trembling as he recounts the horror. The crew, already diminished, now faces a loss that cuts deeper than death, a loss of humanity itself. Odysseus, his heart a storm of grief and resolve, sets out alone to face the enchantress. His steps are heavy, yet his mind is sharp, honed by years of outwitting foes. As he nears the palace, a figure appears, Hermes, the swift-footed messenger of the gods, sent by Athena's grace. The god offers a gift, a herb called moly, its white flower and black root a shield against Circe's magic. "Eat this," Hermes whispers, "and her spells will fail. But beware her charm, for her beauty is a weapon as potent as her wand." Odysseus tucks the herb into his cloak, his resolve hardened, his eyes fixed on the palace glowing through the trees. What follows is a battle not of swords but of wills. Circe welcomes Odysseus as she did his men, her eyes like amber, her voice a siren's call. She offers him the poisoned wine, but the moly holds true, and when her wand fails to transform him, her confidence falters. Odysseus, seizing the moment, draws his sword, not to strike but to demand his men's release. Yet Circe, struck by his courage and untouched by her magic, softens. She sees in him not just a mortal but a man whose spirit rivals the gods. "Stay with me," she urges, her voice now warm with promise, "and no pleasures no mortal could dream." Odysseus, wary yet tempted, agrees to stay, but only if his men are restored. Circe, bound by her word, waves her wand once more, and the swine become men again, their forms restored, their gratitude a tide that lifts their spirits. For a year, Odysseus and his crew linger in Circe's halls, feasting on her bounty, their days filled with ease, their nights with her enchantments. Yet beneath the revelry, Odysseus's heart remains tethered to Ithaca. Circe's beauty, her magic, her love, they are a dream, but Ithaca is his truth, a distant shore that calls through the haze of pleasure. This interlude is a mirror to Odysseus's soul. Circe offers escape, a life free from toil, yet it is a gilded cage. The Odyssey asks us to ponder temptation, how it lures us from our path, how it tests our resolve. Odysseus, for all his cunning, is human, his heart swayed by desire yet anchored by duty. Circe, too, is more than a sorceress. She is a figure of transformation, a guide who will set Odysseus on a path to the underworld itself. Her palace, with its feasts and enchantments, is a pause in the storm, but the sea waits, and Poseidon's wrath has not forgotten. As you rest, imagine Odysseus standing at Circe's side, gazing out at the sea beyond her island. The stars reflect on the water, each a reminder of the home he seeks. Circe, her hand light on his arm, speaks of a journey he must undertake, a descent into darkness to seek wisdom from the dead. What secrets will the shades reveal? What truths will Odysseus uncover in the land where shadows dwell? The tide is turning, and the next step of his journey looms, a trial that will test not just his courage but his very soul. As the night deepens its hold, dear listener, let the gentle rhythm of your breath align with the ebb and flow of the sea. Odysseus and his men linger on Circe's enchanted island, their days steeped in ease, their nights woven with her magic. Yet beneath the warmth of her halls, a restlessness stirs in Odysseus's heart, a longing for Ithaca that no spell can quell. The enchantress, her amber eyes seeing beyond the mortal veil, speaks of a journey he must undertake, a descent into the realm of the dead, where shadows hold the secrets of his fate. Close your eyes and let this tale carry you to the edge of the world, where the living dare to tread among the shades, and a hero's courage faces the silence of eternity. Circe's words fall like stones into still water, rippling through Odysseus's resolve. To seek the prophet Tiresias in the underworld, she says, is to find the path home. The crew, restored from their beastly forms, listen in quiet dread, their faces pale in the firelight. The underworld, Hades, the realm of Persephone and her grim lord, is no mere story to the Greeks. It is a place as real as the sea, a shadowed land where souls drift like leaves on a forgotten wind. To go there is to court death itself, to cross a boundary few mortals breach and fewer return from. Yet Odysseus, the man of many turns, nods, his jaw set, his eyes fixed on a horizon only he can see. The journey to the underworld begins under a sky heavy with omens. Circe, her voice soft as moonlight, guides them to a place where the world's edge frays, where the rivers of the dead converge in a desolate grove. The crew rows in silence, their oars dipping into waters black as obsidian, the air growing cold as they near the sacred site. Odysseus, standing at the prow, carries a black ram and ewe, their blood to be spilled as an offering to draw the shades. The ritual is ancient, its steps precise. A trench dug in the earth, libations of honey, milk, wine, and water poured, the animals' throats cut so their lifeblood pools in the dark. The scent of sacrifice rises, a summons to the dead, and the underworld opens its maw. The shades come slowly at first, their forms like mist, their voices a whisper of forgotten lives. Odysseus, sword in hand, holds them at bay, waiting for Tiresias, the blind prophet whose wisdom transcends death. The shades are a parade of loss, mothers, warriors, children, their eyes hollow with longing for the world above. Among them is Anticlea, Odysseus's mother, her presence a knife to his heart. He did not know she had died, left behind in Ithaca while he fought at Troy. Her shade reaches for him, her voice a faint echo of the lullabies she once sang, but he cannot embrace her until Tiresias speaks. The pain of this restraint, of seeing love so close yet untouchable, is a wound deeper than any spear. Tiresias emerges, his staff tapping the unseen ground, his sightless eyes piercing Odysseus's soul. His words are both prophecy and warning. Poseidon's wrath will dog Odysseus's path, but Ithaca is not beyond reach if he can master his desires and guide his men with wisdom. The prophet speaks of trials yet to come, of sacred cattle that must not be touched, of a home overrun by suitors, of a final journey to appease the sea god. Odysseus listens, his heart a storm of hope and dread, as Tiresias fades back into the mist. Only then does he turn to his mother, her shade now free to speak. She tells of Ithaca, of Penelope's fidelity, of Telemachus's growth into manhood, and of her own death from a heart broken by her son's absence. The underworld is more than a place. It is a mirror to the living. Here, Odysseus meets the shades of Troy's heroes, Agamemnon, betrayed by his wife, Achilles, radiant even in death, who laments the fleeting glory of life, Ajax, silent in his grudge, still stung by a contest lost to Odysseus's cunning. Each encounter is a thread in the Odyssey's tapestry, a reminder that fame, love, and honor are fleeting, yet the human heart clings to them still. The Greeks believed the underworld was no place of judgment, but of eternal twilight, where souls neither suffer nor rejoice, only drift. To face such a place is to confront mortality itself, to weigh the worth of a life against the silence of eternity. As Odysseus pours more libations, the shades press closer, their hunger for blood a faint echo of their hunger for life. He flees, his men at his heels, the trench left behind as the underworld seals itself once more. The ship awaits, its sails catching a wind that feels colder now, heavy with the weight of prophecy. Odysseus carries Tiresias's words like a map, each warning a star to guide or doom him. His crew, shaken by the nearness of death, look to their captain, their trust frayed but unbroken. The sea stretches before them, its depths hiding new trials, new temptations, new chances to defy or fall to fate. This descent is a turning point, a moment where Odysseus glimpses the cost of his journey. The Odyssey asks us to ponder, what does it mean to seek wisdom at such a price? To face the dead is to face oneself, to see the fragility of all we hold dear. As you rest, let this thought drift like a shadow across your mind. We, too, walk paths that lead through darkness, seeking truths that shape our way home. Odysseus sails on, the underworld's chill clinging to him, but the stars above whisper of new shores, new dangers, and a song that will test his very soul. What lies ahead, where the sea sings with voices that lure men to their doom? The next trial waits, its melody both beautiful and deadly, calling Odysseus to a test of heart and will. As the night enfolds you in its velvet calm, dear listener, let the gentle pulse of the sea draw you deeper into our tale. Odysseus and his men sail from the shadowed shores of the underworld, their hearts heavy with the whispers of the dead. The stars above gleam like scattered pearls, but the wine-dark sea offers no comfort, its waves stirred by Poseidon's unrelenting gaze. Circe's counsel lingers in Odysseus's mind, her warnings a map of perils yet to come. Now, a new trial looms, one that sings with a beauty so deadly it has lured countless sailors to their doom. The sirens, whose voices weave a spell no mortal heart can resist. Rest now, and let this story carry you to a place where desire and danger dance, and a hero's will is tested by the sweetest of songs. The ship glides through waters that grow eerily calm, the wind a mere breath against the sails. Odysseus, standing at the helm, shares Circe's warning with his crew, his voice steady despite the weight of what lies ahead. The sirens, she told him, dwell on a rocky isle, their meadow strewn with the bones of men who succumbed to their call. Their song is no mere music but a promise of knowledge, of secrets, of all that the heart craves. To hear it is to be lost, to steer toward jagged rocks where ships splinter and men drown, their souls claimed by the sea. Yet Odysseus, the man of many turns, burns with curiosity, his mind hungry for the truths the sirens offer, even as he knows their price. The crew, their faces etched with fear, prepare as Circe instructed. They need beeswax, soft and pliant, and plug their ears, sealing themselves from the siren's spell. But Odysseus, unwilling to forego the experience, devises a plan as cunning as any he wove at Troy. "Bind me to the mast," he commands, his voice firm, his eyes alight with resolve. His men, loyal despite their dread, lash him tightly with ropes, the knots biting into his flesh. They row in silence, their ears deafened, their trust in their captain a fragile thread holding them to the course. The sea stretches before them, its surface a mirror reflecting a sky untouched by clouds, yet heavy with foreboding. As the island comes into view, its cliffs low and cloaked in mist, a sound drifts across the water, a melody so pure it seems to pierce the soul. The sirens, their forms half hidden in the haze, sing with voices that shimmer like sunlight on water. Their song is not one but many, each note tailored to the listener's deepest desires. For one man, it might promise glory, for another, love. For Odysseus, it offers knowledge, the secrets of the world, the fates of gods and men, all that his restless mind craves. The words are indistinct, yet their pull is undeniable, a tide that tugs at the heart. "Come, Odysseus," they seem to sing, "hero of Troy, knower of all things, rest with us and be wise forever." Odysseus, bound to the mast, strains against the ropes, his body taut, his eyes wild with longing. The song fills him, a fire that burns away reason, urging him to leap into the sea, to swim to the siren's embrace. He shouts to his men, pleading to be freed, but they, deaf to the song and his cries, row on, their faces grim with purpose. The ropes hold, the ship glides past, and the sirens' voices fade, their melody swallowed by the sea's endless murmur. Odysseus, gasping, slumps against the mast, the spell broken but its echo lingering in his soul. He has heard the unhearable, tasted the forbidden, and survived, a feat that will add to his legend, yet leave a scar no one can see. This encounter is more than a brush with death. It is a mirror to the human heart. The siren's song is temptation itself, the lure of desires that promise everything but deliver destruction. In the Greece of Odysseus's time, Such tales were warnings, woven into the fabric of a culture that revered restraint as much as courage. The Mycenaeans, a people of sailors and warriors, knew the sea's dangers, both natural and divine. To them, the sirens were not mere myth but a truth about the world. Beauty can be a trap, knowledge a blade that cuts both ways. Odysseus's choice to hear the song, to face temptation and overcome it, is a testament to his strength, but also a reminder of his humanity. For who among us has not felt the pull of a forbidden call? The crew, their ears still stopped with wax, untie their captain, their hands gentle but their eyes wary. They have seen him at his most vulnerable, a man undone by desire yet saved by his own foresight. Odysseus says nothing, his gaze fixed on the horizon where new dangers await. The Siren's island fades into the mist, but its lesson lingers. To seek is to risk, to know is to suffer. The Odyssey asks us to reflect on this balance, to weigh the cost of our ambitions against the safety of restraint. As you rest, let this thought drift through your mind like a soft tide. We, too, hear songs that call us from our path, and our strength lies in choosing when to listen and when to sail on. The sea grows restless now, its waves hinting at trials yet to come. Circe's warnings echo in Odysseus's mind. Beyond the sirens lies a passage where monsters dwell, where choices are not between desire and duty, but between life and death. What horrors await in the narrow straits, where the sea itself seems to conspire against the living? The ship sails on, its course set for a trial that will test Odysseus's leadership and his crew's fragile trust. As the night cradles you in its quiet embrace, dear listener, let the soft rhythm of the sea guide your thoughts to a place of peril and impossible choices. Odysseus and his men sail on, the siren's haunting melody now a fading echo, their ship cutting through waves that grow restless under Poseidon's watchful gaze. The stars above offer no comfort, their light dim against the gathering clouds. Circe's warnings, etched deep in Odysseus's mind, speak of a trial unlike any they have faced, a narrow strait where two terrors lurk. Scylla, the monster of the cliffs, and Charybdis, the whirlpool that devours all. Settle deeper into your rest, and let this tale draw you into a world where courage meets despair, and a hero must choose between evils that threaten to swallow his hopes whole. The sea narrows as the ship approaches the strait, its waters squeezed between towering cliffs that loom like the jaws of a trap. The crew, their faces drawn with exhaustion, row with steady hands, their trust in Odysseus a fragile thread stretched taut by fear. Circe's counsel was clear. Charybdis, a monstrous whirlpool, lurks on one side, her gaping maw sucking down the sea thrice daily, splintering ships like kindling. On the other side, Scylla, a creature of nightmare, clings to the cliff face, her 6 heads snapping with teeth sharp as obsidian, each capable of snatching a man from the deck. To avoid one is to court the other, and no path offers safety. Odysseus, his heart a storm of resolve and dread, must steer his men through this gauntlet, knowing that survival comes at a cost. The air grows thick, the seas roar mingling with an unnatural hum that sets the crew's nerves on edge. Odysseus, standing at the helm, chooses not to speak of Scylla. To tell his men of the monster's hunger would break their spirits, and they need every ounce of courage to face the whirlpool. "Row hard," he commands, his voice steady as he points their course closer to the cliffs, away from Charybdis's churning abyss. The men obey, their oars slicing through the water, their eyes fixed on the frothing waves where the whirlpool waits. Odysseus dons his armor, his bronze gleaming dully in the shadowed strait, his spear in hand as if he could challenge the monster herself. But Scylla is no foe to be fought with blades, only endured. As the ship glides through the strait, Charybdis stirs, her maw opening with a roar that shakes the sea. The water spirals downward, a vortex that threatens to pull the ship into its depths. The crew rows with desperate strength, their muscles straining, their breaths ragged. Odysseus urges them on, his voice a beacon in the chaos, steering them just beyond the whirlpool's grasp. But then a shadow moves above. Scylla strikes, her 6 heads lunging from the cliff, swift as vipers. 6 screams pierce the air as 6 men are torn from the deck, their bodies vanishing into the monster's jaws. Odysseus, helpless, watches his comrades die, their cries echoing in his soul as the ship slips free, the strait falling silent behind them. The loss is a wound that cuts deeper than any blade. These were not just men but brothers in arms, their loyalty forged in the fires of Troy, their dreams of home now snuffed out by a monster's hunger. Odysseus, his face a mask of grief, clings to the helm, his silence louder than any cry. The crew, those who remain, look to him with eyes that hold both trust and accusation. Why did he not warn them? Why did he choose this path? Yet Odysseus knows there was no true choice. Charybdis would have claimed them all, the ship and its crew swallowed whole. To lose 6 was a mercy, however cruel compared to losing everything. Leadership, he learns, is to bear the weight of such choices, to carry the guilt of lives lost under your command. In the Greece of Odysseus's time, the sea was a realm of gods and monsters, its dangers a reflection of the divine order. Scylla and Charybdis were not mere myths but truths about the world. Life offers no perfect paths, only choices between perils. The Mycenaeans, a seafaring people, knew the sea's caprice, its ability to give and take with equal indifference. To sail was to gamble with fate, to trust in skill and divine favor while knowing neither might suffice. The Odyssey weaves this truth into its verses, asking us to ponder the nature of sacrifice. What do we give up to survive? What part of ourselves do we lose when we choose the lesser evil? As the ship sails on, the strait's horrors fade, but their shadow clings to the crew. The sea, vast and unyielding, stretches before them, its waves a reminder of Poseidon's wrath, still unappeased. Odysseus, his heart heavy with the names of the fallen, turns his thoughts to the next trial Circe foretold, an island where golden cattle graze, sacred to the sun god Helios. To touch them is to invite divine retribution, a lesson Odysseus knows his men may not heed. The Odyssey is a tapestry of such moments, where human frailty meets divine decree, where choices ripple across time. As you rest, let this thought settle like a gentle tide. We, too, face straits where every path demands a price, and our courage lies in sailing on. The horizon beckons, its promise of rest tainted by the threat of temptation. What will Odysseus's men do when hunger gnaws at their resolve? What new calamity awaits when mortal hands defy the gods? The sea holds its secrets, but the tale moves forward, its currents pulling us toward a choice that may doom them all. As the night weaves its quiet spell around you, dear listener, let the soft cadence of the sea lull your thoughts to a distant shore. Odysseus and his dwindling crew sail on, the horrors of Scylla and Charybdis a raw wound in their hearts. The wine-dark sea stretches endlessly, its waves a restless mirror of Poseidon's unyielding wrath. The men, their faces gaunt with hunger and grief, cling to the hope of land, of rest, of a moment's respite from the trials that dog their path. Circe's warnings echo in Odysseus's mind, her voice a thread of caution. Beware the island of Thrinacia, where the cattle of the sun god Helios graze, sacred and untouchable. Settle into your rest, and let this tale draw you into a world where hunger battles honor, and a single act of defiance may doom a crew to the sea's cold embrace. The ship, battered by storms and sorrow, glides toward Thrinacia, its shores golden under the sun's unblinking gaze. The island is a vision of plenty, lush meadows, clear springs, and herds of cattle, their coats gleaming like burnished bronze. These are no ordinary beasts but the sacred flock of Helios, the sun god whose eyes see all, whose wrath burns as fiercely as his light. Circe's words were clear. To harm these cattle is to court divine vengeance, a punishment no mortal can escape. Odysseus, his heart heavy with the weight of leadership, shares this warning with his men, his voice firm yet strained. We will take only what we need, he insists, and leave the cattle untouched. The crew nods, their eyes hollow, their bellies empty after weeks at sea. They anchor in a sheltered cove, the air sweet with the scent of grass and clover. The men gather what provisions they can, fish from the shallows, roots from the earth. But hunger gnaws like a living thing, its claws sharper with each passing day. Odysseus, ever watchful, prays to Athena for strength, for winds to carry them from this perilous place. But the gods, it seems, are silent, or perhaps they conspire to test him further. A storm brews, its clouds black and heavy, pinning the ship to the island for weeks. The crew's resolve frays, their murmurs of discontent growing louder as their stores dwindle to nothing. Eurylochus, Odysseus's trusted second, speaks what others dare not. Better to risk the gods' wrath than starve like dogs. Odysseus, sensing the danger, withdraws to pray alone, seeking guidance in a grove far from the camp. Exhaustion claims him, and he sleeps, his dreams troubled by visions of Ithaca's rocky shores. In his absence, Eurylochus rallies the men, his voice a spark to their desperation. "The gods have abandoned us," he argues, "but these cattle are here, fat and plentiful. We will sacrifice the best to appease Helios, and offer more when we reach home." The men, driven by hunger's madness, agree. They slaughter the sacred cattle, their knives flashing in the sunlight, the air filled with the lowing of dying beasts. They roast the meat, its savor a cruel mockery of the feasts they once knew, their laughter brittle as they eat. When Odysseus wakes, the scent of roasted flesh tells him all. His heart sinks, a stone in the sea of his despair. He confronts his men, his voice a thunderclap of rage and grief, but the deed is done. The hides of the slain cattle crawl, an unnatural tremor, and their lowing echoes from beyond death, a sign of divine outrage. The crew, defiant yet uneasy, feast for 6 days, their bellies full but their souls heavy with foreboding. On the 7th day, the storm lifts and the sea beckons once more. They board the ship, their eyes avoiding Odysseus, who stands at the helm, his silence a heavier burden than any curse. The sea, calm at first, soon betrays them. Helios, his eyes blazing from the heavens, appeals to Zeus, demanding justice for his sacred herd. The king of the gods, his voice like rolling thunder, decrees punishment. As the ship sails into open water, a storm gathers, its clouds black as obsidian, its winds howling with divine fury. Lightning splits the sky, striking the mast, and the ship shudders as if struck by a giant's fist. The crew screams, their voices lost in the gale, as the sea opens like a maw, swallowing the ship and all but one. Odysseus, clinging to a spar, watches his men vanish into the depths, their faces etched in his memory as the last of his comrades are claimed by Poseidon's wrath. Alone now, Odysseus drifts, the sea his only companion, its waves both cradle and captor. The loss of his crew is a wound that will never heal, a price paid for their defiance and his failure to hold them to the path. The Odyssey weaves this moment as a stark lesson. To defy the gods is to court destruction, yet human frailty, hunger, despair, the ache for survival, can drive even the loyal to ruin. In the Greece of Odysseus's time, the sacred was inviolable, and the gods' wrath was as certain as the sunrise. The Mycenaeans, a people of ritual and reverence, knew the cost of hubris, yet the Odyssey reminds us that mortals are not gods, and their choices are often born of desperation rather than pride. As you rest, let this thought drift like a current through your mind. We, too, face moments where need battles duty, where a single choice can unravel all we hold dear. Odysseus, adrift on the sea, is no longer a captain but a solitary wanderer, his heart tethered to Ithaca yet pulled by the tides of fate. The gods, their anger sated for now, watch as he floats toward a new shore, where a goddess waits, her beauty a chain as binding as any storm. What will become of our hero, alone against the sea's vast indifference? The answer lies in the mists, where love and captivity intertwine, calling him to a trial of the heart. As the night settles softly around you, dear listener, let the gentle lapping of waves against a distant shore ease your mind into our tale. Odysseus, the man of many turns, drifts alone on the wine-dark sea, the wreckage of his ship and the cries of his crew swallowed by Poseidon's wrath. The stars above glimmer faintly, their light a fragile hope in the vast emptiness. The loss of his men weighs like a stone in his heart, yet the sea, merciless and eternal, carries him to a new shore, Ogygia, the island of the nymph Calypso, whose beauty is a gilded chain. Rest now and let this story weave its spell, drawing you into a world where love and longing intertwine, and a hero's heart battles the seductive pull of eternity. The waves cast Odysseus, battered and half-drowned, onto Ogyg's shores, where golden sands meet forests of cypress and cedar. The air is heavy with the scent of blossoms, and the island hums with a quiet magic, as if time itself pauses here. Calypso, a goddess nymph of divine lineage, finds him washed ashore, his body broken but his spirit unyielded. Her eyes, deep as the sea's own heart, take in the mortal before her, a man scarred by war and loss, yet radiant with the fire of survival. She lifts him gently, her touch both tender and commanding, and brings him to her cave, a dwelling carved from the island's heart, its walls draped with vines and lit by soft, eternal light. Calypso is no mere enchantress like Circe, but a daughter of Atlas, her power woven into the fabric of the world. Her voice is a melody that soothes the soul, her beauty a vision that could make a man forget his name. She nurses Odysseus back to health, her hands weaving spells of healing, her table laden with ambrosia and nectar fit for gods. Days turn to weeks, weeks to years, and Odysseus, once a wanderer, becomes her guest or her captive, depending on the light. She offers him everything: love, immortality, a life free from pain or death. "Stay with me," she whispers, her breath warm against his ear, "and be my husband, eternal as the stars." Yet Odysseus, for all his weariness, cannot surrender his heart. Each morning he stands on the shore, his eyes fixed on the horizon, where Ithaca lies like a dream beyond reach. Calypso's island is a paradise, its pleasures endless, but it is not home. Penelope's face haunts him, her laughter a memory sharper than any blade. Telemachus, his son, grows without a father, a wound that festers with each passing year. Calypso, seeing his sorrow, offers more: eternal youth, divine love. But these are chains to a man whose soul is tethered to a mortal life. The Odyssey paints this moment with aching clarity. To be offered everything is to risk losing what matters most. The years on Ogygia blur, a dreamlike haze of beauty and despair. Odysseus, by day, shares Calypso's table, her laughter a fleeting balm. By night, he weeps alone on the cliffs, the sea his only confidant, its waves echoing his longing. Calypso, immortal and unaccustomed to refusal, grows restless, her love tinged with possession. She is a goddess, yet her heart aches like a mortal's, caught in the paradox of loving one who cannot stay. The gods, watching from Olympus, take note. Athena, Odysseus's champion, pleads his case to Zeus, arguing that no mortal should be held against his will, not even by a goddess's love. Zeus, his judgment as impartial as the sky, decrees that Calypso must release her captive. The Greece of Odysseus's time revered the gods, yet it understood the tension between divine will and human desire. The Mycenaeans, a people of ritual and reverence, saw love as both sacred and perilous, a force that could bind or break. Calypso's offer of immortality is a temptation few could resist, yet Odysseus's refusal is his strength, a testament to the mortal heart's stubborn loyalty to its own truth. The Odyssey asks us to ponder this choice. What is the value of a life without end, if it means forsaking the home that defines us? Odysseus, in his tears, becomes more than a hero. He is a man who chooses the pain of mortality over the ease of divinity. When Calypso receives Zeus's command, her heart rebels, but she bows to the will of the gods. She approaches Odysseus, her eyes softened by resignation, and offers him the means to leave: a raft, provisions, a fair wind to speed him on. "Go," she says, her voice a mix of sorrow and grace, "if your heart is set on suffering." Odysseus, wary of divine tricks, builds the raft himself, his hands calloused but sure, shaping timber with the skill of a man who has always trusted his own craft. As he prepares to depart, Calypso stands on the shore, her figure radiant against the dawn, a goddess who loved a mortal and lost him to his own destiny. The raft sets sail, a fragile thing against the sea's vastness, carrying Odysseus toward an uncertain fate. Ogygia fades behind him, its beauty a memory he will carry like a weight. The Odyssey weaves this interlude as a meditation on freedom and fidelity, on the choices that define us. As you rest, let this thought drift like a tide across your mind. We, too, face moments where we must choose between comfort and truth, between staying and striving. Odysseus, alone on the sea once more, sails toward a new shore where kindness may yet offer salvation. But Poseidon's wrath lingers, and the waves are never still. What awaits our hero now, adrift on a sea that knows no mercy? A people of grace and generosity beckon, their halls a haven. But will they bring him closer to Ithaca, or is another trial waiting in the wings? The sea holds its secrets, But the tale sails on, its currents pulling us toward hope and peril alike. As the night enfolds you in its tranquil embrace, dear listener, let the gentle rhythm of the sea guide your thoughts to a place of hope amidst the storm. Odysseus, alone on his fragile raft, sails across the wine-dark sea, the weight of Calypso's farewell still heavy in his heart. The stars above flicker like distant promises, but Poseidon's wrath, ever vigilant, stirs the waves into a tempest that shatters his craft. Clinging to the wreckage, Odysseus battles the sea for days, his strength waning, his hope a flickering flame. Yet the gods, in their intricate dance, have not abandoned him entirely. A new shore looms, the land of the Phaeacians, a people blessed with kindness and skill. Rest now, and let this tale weave its soothing spell, carrying you to a world where stories become salvation, and a weary hero finds a moment's grace. The sea, relentless in its fury, casts Odysseus onto the shores of Scheria, the Phaeacian homeland. Exhausted and battered, he collapses among the reeds, his body caked with salt, his spirit worn thin by years of wandering. The island is a vision of beauty, orchards heavy with fruit, rivers sparkling under the sun, and a city of gleaming bronze and stone. The Phaeacians are a seafaring people, their ships swift as thought, guided by divine craft that needs no rudder. They are favored by the gods, their lives a balance of prosperity and piety, yet they are not untouched by the world's sorrows. As Odysseus sleeps, hidden by Athena's mist, a new chapter of his journey begins, one where hospitality and storytelling will light his path. Nausicaa, the young princess of the Phaeacians, finds him by the river, led there by Athena's subtle hand. She and her maidens, washing linens in the clear waters, startle at the sight of this sea-worn stranger, his form more wreckage than man. Yet Nausicaa, her heart as brave as it is kind, sees beyond his ragged state. "He is no savage," she declares, her voice steady, her eyes bright with compassion. She offers him clothes, oil to anoint his skin, and food to ease his hunger. Odysseus, humbled yet wary, bathes and emerges renewed, his bearing regal despite his trials. Athena, ever his guardian, cloaks him in grace, making his presence almost divine. Nausicaa, struck by his dignity, leads him toward the palace of her parents, King Alcinous and Queen Arete. The Phaeacian court is a marvel, its halls adorned with gold and silver, its gardens blooming with eternal spring. Alcinous, a king of wisdom and generosity, welcomes Odysseus as a guest, honoring the sacred laws of hospitality that bind all Greeks. The feast that follows is a symphony of abundance, roasted meats, sweet wine, and the music of a bard whose lyre weaves tales of Troy. Yet Odysseus, seated among the revelry, remains silent, his heart a tangle of gratitude and longing. The bard's song turns to the Trojan War, to the cunning of Odysseus and the fall of Troy's towers. Tears brim in his eyes, unnoticed by most, but Arete, sharp-eyed and perceptive, senses the weight of his sorrow. "Who are you?" Alcinous asks, his voice gentle yet commanding. The hall falls silent, all eyes on the stranger whose grief betrays a deeper story. Odysseus, his voice steady despite the ache in his chest, begins to speak. He reveals his name, Odysseus, sacker of cities, wanderer cursed by Poseidon, and the Phaeacians gasp, for his fame has reached even their distant shores. Over the next nights he tells his tale. The Cyclops' cave, Circe's enchantments, the underworld's shadows, the siren's song, Scylla's horror, and the loss of his crew to the sun god's wrath. His words are a tapestry, woven with pain and wonder, each thread a testament to his endurance. The Phaeacians listen, spellbound, their hearts stirred by the man who has faced gods and monsters yet still dreams of home. In the Greece of Odysseus's time, storytelling was more than entertainment. It was a sacred act, a bridge between mortals and the divine, between past and present. The Mycenaeans, a people of oral tradition, revered bards as keepers of memory, their songs preserving the deeds of heroes. The Phaeacians, with their love of Thales and their mastery of the sea, embody this reverence. Their kindness to Odysseus is not just hospitality, but a recognition of his story's power, a gift that earns him their aid. Alcinous, moved by his guest's saga, promises a ship to carry Odysseus home, its crew skilled enough to brave Poseidon's seas. Gifts follow: gold, bronze, fine garments. a tribute to a hero whose name will echo through their halls. As Odysseus prepares to depart, Nausicaa bids him farewell, her young heart touched by a man who might have been more than a guest in another life. "Remember me," she says, her voice soft as the dawn, and Odysseus, with a smile that carries both gratitude and sorrow, promises he will. The Phaeacian ship, swift and sure, sets sail, its prow cutting through the waves like a blade through silk. Odysseus sleeps aboard, lulled by the sea's rhythm, unaware that Ithaca's shores draw near. The Odyssey weaves this moment as a pause, a breath of hope after years of despair, yet it asks us to ponder. Can kindness overcome a god's wrath? As you rest, let this thought drift like a tide. We, too, find havens in our journeys, moments of grace that light the way home. The ship sails on, its destination Odysseus's long-lost kingdom. But what awaits him there after years of absence? Will Ithaca welcome its king, or has time woven a new web of challenges? The sea carries him closer, but the tale is far from over, its currents pulling us toward a homecoming fraught with peril and promise. As the night cradles you in its soothing embrace, dear listener, let the gentle murmur of waves against a distant shore guide your thoughts. Odysseus, borne by the Phaeacians' swift ship, sleeps deeply, his body rocked by the sea's rhythm, his dreams haunted by years of wandering. The stars above gleam like beacons, guiding the vessel toward a land that has lived in his heart through every trial. Ithaca, his rocky kingdom, his home. Yet the sea, ever under Poseidon's watchful eye, offers no promises, and the shore he seeks is no longer the one he left. Settle deeper into your rest, and let this tale weave its quiet spell, carrying you to a world where a hero's return is both triumph and trial, and the heart of home beats with hope and hidden dangers. The Phaeacian ship glides into a sheltered cove as dawn paints the sky with hues of rose and gold. The crew, gentle in their task, lay Odysseus upon the shore, still wrapped in sleep, surrounded by the treasures gifted by King Alcinous, gold, bronze, and woven garments, a fortune to honor a hero. They depart silently, their ship vanishing into the mist, unaware that Poseidon, angered by their aid, will turn their vessel to stone before it reaches home. Odysseus wakes alone, the familiar scent of olive trees and salt stirring his soul. Ithaca lies before him, its rugged cliffs and rolling hills a sight both cherished and strange. 20 years have passed since he left, 10 in Troy's war, 10 in the sea's grip, and time has reshaped the land he knew. Athena, his divine protector, cloaks him in mist and disguise, transforming the weathered king into a beggar, his frame stooped, his face lined with false age. She appears to him as a shepherd, her gray eyes gleaming with purpose, and warns him of the dangers that await. Ithaca is no longer a haven but a battleground. His palace is overrun by suitors, arrogant nobles who feast on his wealth, woo his wife, Penelope, and plot against his son, Telemachus. They believe Odysseus dead, their greed unchecked, their insolence a stain on the sacred laws of hospitality. Athena's counsel is clear: move with caution, strike with cunning, for Ithaca must be reclaimed not with a warrior's sword but with a strategist's mind. Odysseus, his heart a storm of joy and rage, treads the familiar paths of his island, each step a memory of the life he left behind. The olive groves, the rocky trails, the distant bleating of goats, they are the bones of his kingdom, unchanged yet distant, like a song half remembered. He seeks out Eumaeus, his loyal swineherd, a man whose fidelity has endured the years. Eumaeus's hut is humble, its walls of rough stone, its hearth warm with the glow of a fire. The old man welcomes the disguised beggar with kindness, offering bread and wine, unaware that he serves his king. Over the crackling flames, Eumaeus speaks of Ithaca's decline, of the suitor's arrogance, of Penelope's steadfast heart, and of Telemachus, now a young man searching for news of his father. The reunion with Telemachus, orchestrated by Athena, is a moment of quiet power. The goddess lifts Odysseus's disguise, revealing the king to his son in a grove sacred to the gods. Telemachus, at first disbelieving, falls into his father's arms, their tears a silent vow to reclaim what was lost. Together they plot, their voices low, their plan a web of deception worthy of Odysseus's cunning. The suitors must be faced, their numbers overwhelming, their weapons sharp. Yet Odysseus, with Athena's favor and Telemachus's courage, sees not an army but a challenge to be outwitted. The palace, once a place of joy, is now a battlefield, its halls echoing with the laughter of men who will soon face their reckoning. In the Greece of Odysseus's time, home was more than a place. It was the heart of identity, the root of honor. The Mycenaeans, a people bound by loyalty to kin and king, saw the violation of a household as a crime against the gods. The suitors' brazenness, their feasting on another's wealth, their pursuit of a faithful wife, is an affront to the sacred order. Odysseus's return is not just a personal quest, but a restoration of that order, a reclaiming of Cleo's, his fame, his legacy. The Odyssey weaves this moment as a meditation on homecoming, on the cost of absence, and the strength it takes to rebuild what time has torn apart. As you rest, let this thought drift like a soft tide. We, too, seek our own Ithacas, places where our hearts belong, yet find them changed by the years we've wandered. Odysseus, disguised once more, approaches his palace. His beggars rags a shield against prying eyes. The suitors' laughter spills from the halls, their voices loud with wine and arrogance. Penelope, unseen but ever present, weaves her own plans, her heart a fortress of fidelity. The air grows heavy with the weight of what is to come, a confrontation that will test not just Odysseus's cunning, but the bonds of love and loyalty that have endured across decades. The Odyssey asks us to ponder, can a man reclaim his place in a world that has moved on? Can home be won back when its heart has been besieged? As Odysseus steps closer to his palace, the shadows lengthen and the gods watch in silence. What will unfold in the halls of Ithaca, where a beggar hides a king, and a wife's loyalty holds the key to victory? The tale draws near its climax, its threads tightening toward a moment of truth and retribution. As the night wraps you in its gentle hush, dear listener, let the soft whisper of Ithaca's winds draw you closer to our tale. Odysseus, cloaked in the guise of a beggar, stands at the threshold of his palace, the heart of his kingdom now a den of greed and betrayal. The stars above glimmer faintly, casting their light on a home both familiar and foreign, where the suitors feast and scheme, unaware of the king who walks among them. At the center of this storm stands Penelope, his wife, whose steadfast heart has held Ithaca together through 20 years of absence. Rest now and let this story weave its tender spell, carrying you into a world where loyalty is a quiet strength, and a woman's cunning matches that of any hero. The palace of Ithaca, once a place of warmth and laughter, now echoes with the clamor of the suitors, nobles from Ithaca and beyond, their numbers swelling like a tide. They devour Odysseus's wealth, slaughtering his livestock, draining his wine, and crowding his halls with their arrogance. Each seeks Penelope's hand, believing her husband dead, their pursuit as much a claim to his throne as to her heart. Yet Penelope, with her quiet grace and sharp mind, has outwitted them all. For years, she wove a shroud for Laertes, Odysseus's father, promising to choose a suitor when it was complete. By night, she unraveled her work, a secret act of defiance that kept the suitors at bay. Her ruse, now discovered, has left her vulnerable, yet her resolve remains unbroken. Odysseus, disguised by Athena's magic, enters the palace, his beggar's rags hiding the king beneath. His eyes, sharp despite the years, take in the chaos, tables laden with food, wine spilling like blood, suitors laughing as if the house were theirs. The sight is a wound, each careless jest a dagger to his pride. Yet he moves with care, his steps those of a man who knows the cost of haste. The servants, some loyal, some swayed by the suitor's gifts, barely notice the stranger. Only Argus, Odysseus's old hound, lying neglected on a dung heap, stirs at his master's scent. The dog's weak wag, his final breath given in recognition, is a quiet heartbreak, a reminder of the years stolen by the sea. Penelope, descending from her chambers, is a vision of strength cloaked in sorrow. Her beauty, though touched by time, is undimmed, her eyes deep with the weight of waiting. She does not know the beggar is her husband, yet something in his presence, a spark of familiarity, stirs her. She speaks to him kindly, honoring the laws of hospitality that the suitors scorn. "Tell me, stranger," she says, her voice soft as a lullaby, "who are you and what sorrows bring you here?" Odysseus, his heart aching to reveal himself, weaves a tale of a wanderer who once met Odysseus in Crete, a lie laced with truth. Penelope listens, tears brimming, her hope a fragile flame that flickers but never dies. Her cunning matches his own, a mirror of the man she loves. To test the suitors and perhaps to seek a sign, she announces a contest. She will marry the man who can string Odysseus's great bow and shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads, a feat only her husband could achieve. The suitors, eager to prove themselves, accept, unaware that they play into a trap. Odysseus, watching from the shadows, feels a surge of pride for his wife's guile. Penelope's heart, though heavy with grief, is a fortress, her loyalty a shield against despair. She has raised Telemachus alone, guided Ithaca through chaos, and kept the suitors at bay with a mind as sharp as any blade. In the Greece of Odysseus's time, a woman's role was bound by custom, yet Penelope defies these constraints. The Mycenaeans revered loyalty, especially in marriage, as a sacred bond, and Penelope embodies this ideal. Her fidelity is not passive but active, a daily choice to honor a husband the world believes lost. Her weaving and unweaving of the shroud is a metaphor for her strength, a thread that holds Ithaca's hope together. The Odyssey weaves her story as a counterpoint to Odysseus's, showing that heroism is not only in battle or adventure, but in the quiet endurance of the heart. As you rest, let this thought drift like a gentle tide. We, too, hold fast to what matters, weaving our own threads of loyalty through the chaos of time. Odysseus, still disguised, watches the suitors mock the bow, their hands too weak, their spirits too soft for the task. Telemachus, now a partner in his father's plan, stands ready, his youth tempered by courage. The palace hums with tension, the air thick with the promise of reckoning. Penelope, her eyes searching the beggar's face, senses something beyond his rags, a spark of the man she dreams of each night. The Odyssey asks us to ponder, what is the strength of a love that endures such trials? Can a husband and wife, separated by years and seas, find each other again in a world turned upside down? As the contest looms, the palace grows quiet, the suitors' laughter stilled by the weight of the moment. Odysseus, his hands steady, prepares to take the bow, his heart beating with the rhythm of home. What will unfold when the beggar reveals the king? Will Ithaca's halls echo with triumph or tragedy? The tale nears its climax, its threads tightening toward a moment that will bind past and present in a single, shattering act. As the night enfolds you in its serene embrace, dear listener, let the soft whispers of Ithaca's winds carry you to the heart of our tale. Odysseus, cloaked as a beggar, stands in the shadowed halls of his palace, the air thick with the weight of years lost and a home defiled. The suitors, drunk on wine and arrogance, sprawl across tables laden with his wealth, their laughter a mockery of the life he left behind. Penelope, her heart a fortress of fidelity, has set the stage with her cunning, a contest of the great bow, a challenge only her husband could master. The stars above Ithaca gleam like silent witnesses, and Athena, ever watchful, stirs the air with the promise of justice. Rest now, and let this story weave its final spell, drawing you into a world where a hero reclaims his home, and a tale's legacy echoes through the ages. The palace hums with anticipation as the suitors, one by one, try their hands at Odysseus's bow. Its wood, dark and unyielding, resists their efforts, their fingers fumbling, their pride bruised by failure. Telemachus, his eyes sharp with purpose, stands ready, his loyalty to his father a fire that burns beneath his youth. Odysseus, still in his beggar's rags, watches from the sidelines, his heart a storm of patience and rage. The suitors mock him, their jeers a cruel echo of the chaos they've sown. Yet Penelope, her gaze lingering on the stranger, senses a truth beneath his disguise, a spark that kindles hope in her weary soul. When Odysseus steps forward, his request to try the bow is met with scorn. "A beggar dares to compete?" The suitors sneer, their laughter filling the hall. But Penelope, her voice calm yet firm, allows it, her heart perhaps guided by Athena's unseen hand. The bow is placed in Odysseus's hands, its weight a familiar friend, its curve a memory of hunts and battles long past. With a single, fluid motion, he strings it, the cord singing as it snaps into place. The hall falls silent, the suitor's faces paling as he draws an arrow and sends it whistling through the 12 axe heads, a perfect shot that pierces the air like a thunderbolt. In that moment, the beggar's rags fall away, and Odysseus stands revealed, a king, a warrior, a husband returned. The reckoning is swift and merciless. Odysseus, with Telemachus at his side, turns the bow on the suitors, his arrows finding their marks with deadly precision. Athena, cloaked as mentor, bolsters their courage, her divine presence a shield against the chaos. The suitors, caught in their hubris, scramble for weapons, but the armory is locked, a trap set by father and son. Eumaeus and Philodius, loyal servants, join the fight, their hands steady with years of devotion. The hall becomes a battlefield, its stones stained with the blood of those who violated its sanctity. Antinous, the suitors' leader, falls first, an arrow through his throat, his wine cup crashing to the floor. One by one, the others follow, their arrogance undone by the wrath of a king reclaimed. Penelope, watching from the shadows, remains cautious, her heart torn between hope and fear. Even as the suitors' bodies are cleared and the hall cleansed, she holds back, her mind too sharp to trust without proof. Odysseus, his armor stained, his face weary yet resolute, approaches her. Their reunion is not a rush of passion but a careful dance, a testing of truths. She speaks of their marriage bed, carved from a living olive tree, its roots deep in Ithaca's earth, a secret only they share. Odysseus, his voice soft with memory, describes its making, and at last Penelope's reserve breaks. They embrace, their tears mingling, a love that has endured war, sea, and time itself. The palace, now quiet, is restored, its hearth warm once more. Telemachus stands taller, a son who has become a man in his father's shadow. Laertes, Odysseus's aged father, rejoices in their reunion, his grief lifted by the return of his son. Yet the Odyssey does not end with triumph alone. Odysseus, guided by Tiresias's prophecy, must make one final journey to appease Poseidon, carrying an oar to a land where men know no sea, planting it as an offering to the god who cursed him. Only then can he rest, his debt paid, his home secure. The tale closes with Ithaca at peace, its order restored, its king and queen reunited, their love a beacon that outshines the stars. The Odyssey's legacy is woven into the fabric of human storytelling. In the Greece of its time, it was more than a tale. It was a mirror to the Mycenaean soul, reflecting their reverence for loyalty, cunning, and the sacred bond of home. Its verses, sung by bards in firelit halls, carried lessons of endurance, the cost of hubris, and the power of love. Centuries later, it shaped Western literature, its archetypes, Odysseus the wanderer, Penelope the faithful, echoing in stories from Dante to Joyce. The Odyssey asks us to ponder, what is home, if not the place we fight to return to? What is heroism, if not the courage to endure for those we love? As you rest, let this thought drift like a gentle tide. We, too, are wanderers, seeking our own Ithacas, guided by the stories we carry. The Odyssey endures because it is our story, a tapestry of human longing and resilience. Its verses, born in a world of bronze and gods, still sing to us, their rhythm a lullaby for the heart. As Odysseus and Penelope stand together, their hands entwined, Ithaca's shores glow under the dawn. The sea, for now, is silent, its trials ended. But what of us, dear listener? What shores do we seek, and what tales will we tell when we arrive? The Odyssey leaves us here at the edge of sleep, with a story that never truly ends, its echoes calling us to dream on. As the gentle waves of Ithaca's shores fade into the night, dear listener, let the echoes of Odysseus's journey linger in your dreams. This tale of courage, love, and homecoming is but one of many waiting to lull you into restful slumber. If the Odyssey's timeless story has stirred your heart, join me on this channel for more soothing tales from history's embrace, crafted to guide you into peaceful sleep. Subscribe now, and let's wander together through the myths and legends that have shaped our world. Leave a like if Odysseus and Penelope's reunion warmed your soul, and share this video with someone who loves a story as much as you do. In the comments below, tell me, what tale from the past would you like to drift off to next? Until then, rest well, and may your dreams be as steadfast as Penelope's heart. Good night, and I'll see you under the stars.